Heatwave conditions are proving deadly.
We know that heat stroke is a real big risk in this type of weather.
They start to feel hot.
It makes us feel sick.
3-day heat wave.
So your body won't be able to cool down.
This is a human body, or at least an outline of one. And this is Dr. Kate Wylie. She's going to help explain how our bodies stay cool.
So on a hot day, our body works to keep our internal temperature at about 36 to 37 degrees. But when we get too hot, our internal body systems kick in to keep us cool by sweating, by dilating our blood vessels, by reducing our urine output, and by making us thirsty. So all this is controlled by the hypothalamus in our brain, and its job is to regulate our temperature, just like a thermostat regulates temperature in our homes. It's when our bodies can't keep up with the heat that problems start to kick in. Australians are already at risk from heat-related illness, and that risk is going to get higher the more that our planet heats. And these heat-related illnesses are very serious. First, we have heat stress, and here people will feel uncomfortable, they'll be weak and tired, and they might have cramps and feel a bit dizzy. And this is a sign that our bodies are starting to not cope with the heat, and we should pay attention to that by acting to keep ourselves cool, get out of the sun, have a glass of cold water. Because if we don't pay attention, we are at risk of heat exhaustion. Heat exhaustion occurs when our body temperature rises above 38 degrees, and we have less sweating because basically we've run out of fluids to create sweat. Also, we might have nausea, vomiting, have a bit of a headache and faint. Starting to feel unwell. Heat stroke occurs when the internal body temperature is over 40.5 degrees. Here the person is very unwell. They'll have red, hot and dry skin. They might have confusion. They can pass out and even have fits. Heat stroke is a medical emergency. These people need urgent medical care to save their lives. They're at risk of brain failure, heart failure, renal failure, and as I said, this can be fatal.
Sana knows about the impacts of heat waves living in Western Sydney, where 1 in every 10 summer days already passed 35 degrees. And due to climate change, we'll be seeing twice as many days over 35 by 2050.
So I'm Sana. We know in Western Sydney is, significantly hotter than other parts of the city. I've lived in the ponds, basically, this area ever since it's been built. I've seen this area sort of grow. But it's unfortunate because we have such a dynamic area, but the suburbs aren't being built to withstand the heat. We don't have enough trees, the dark roofs and stuff. Obviously, when you live in an area, you grow up here, I went to school here, we want to see the best for its future. Very difficult for people to be able to stay cool, how well you can cope during a heat wave completely correlates to what measures you can afford to stay cool. Obviously, it's such a privilege to even have air conditioning and then to be able to turn it on. So with cost of living pressures increasing, it's very difficult for people. So whether that's driving during a hot day or turning on the air conditioning, these are all such small privileges I think a lot of us forget as our summers get hotter and the cost of living worsens for people. Summers are going to look brutal. I think the physical health impacts of heat waves look different on everyone. So my mum, she often gets migraines. My sister gets nosebleeds. I think I just feel really drained and lethargic on extreme heat days. That's just some of what my family experiences. The biggest measures we take are to close the blinds, to turn on the air conditioning. That being said, we're very mindful of how often we turn on the air conditioning. You don't want it to be running the whole day. That's not cost effective at all. Some people turn on the fan, they get a wet cloth and they put it to the head. Avoid any physical activity during days like today, especially in the middle of the day when it is really hot. We also need to divert from fossil fuel use because our summers are just going to continue to get hotter. We need to be a lot more ambitious, significantly more ambitious if we want to stop this.
The Climate Council's new heat map tool shows the projected temperature increases around Australia by 2050. Depending on the level of action we take now to cut climate pollution.
Heatwaves are historically Australia's most deadly natural disaster. And so what we know is that we are going to see more and more heat waves with global warming, and that means more and more people suffering from heat and heat-related illness. And that really tells us that we really need to be taking this problem seriously. We need to acknowledge that Australians are already at risk from heat-related illness, and that risk is going to get higher the more that our planet heats. We've practically locked in 1.5 degrees of global warming. The projections are that if we go to 2 degrees, heat waves will increase by 85%, And if we get to 3 degrees, heat waves are going to be lasting 30 days in this country. It is absolutely vital that we stop making this problem worse. If the Earth was a patient, and really the Earth is all our patients, we need to own that climate change is happening and causing health problems now. We need to stop making the problem worse. Just like every cigarette is doing us damage, every time we burn fossil fuels, we add fuel to global heating and make the problem worse and exacerbate the health outcomes for people in the community. Australia needs to ditch dirty, harmful fossil fuels and make the switch to clean, safe, renewable energy to protect the health of our communities, our children and ourselves.